Welcome back. Today we get to spend about 30 minutes on our mat, moving and inviting energy into our bodies. Our movements today will likely be familiar if you've practiced yoga before, and if you're brand new, I'll guide you slowly, and you'll be free to move at your own pace throughout much of this practice. A block or two and a blanket would be helpful props if you have them, but neither are completely necessary. So roll out your mat and let's get started. We'll begin in child's pose. Come to hands and knees, maybe with a folded blanket underneath your knees for extra padding. Let your knees go wide, maybe to the edges of your mat or just beyond your torso, and let your toes come to touch. Keeping your hands engaged with the mat, press your hips down and back over your heels. If your hips feel like they're hanging uncomfortably high over your heels, try placing a block between your heels to bring the ground up closer to you. Your chest should feel as though it's sinking heavily towards the ground, your head hanging heavy, neck relaxed. Maybe your forehead is touching the mat. It might feel good to turn your head to one side and then gently to the other, stretching along the sides of your neck. In child's pose, Balasana, allow your awareness to come to your breath, the way it's moving in and out through your body, where it feels heavy, where it flows freely. Can you soften your shoulders with a deep exhale? Can you relax your hips just a little bit more? Take 3 more deep breaths. On your next inhale, look forward to your fingers. Exhale, walk your hands over to the right edge of your mat and soften your chest and head down again. As you open up the left side of your torso, continue to stay rooted in your left hip. If your hip feels like it has to lift or move, walk your hands a little bit closer to center. Keep breathing. Inhale, look forward to your hands and come back to center. Exhale, walk your hands over to the left edge of your mat. Notice if this side feels a little bit different, more or less open than the first. There's no judgment either way, just take note. Keep sinking down into your right hip. Inhale and return to center. If you had a block beneath your hips, set that to the side, and from child's pose, we'll rise to tabletop. With your wrists directly under your shoulders or slightly in front of your shoulders if there's a pinching sensation in your wrist, and your knees directly under your hips, inhale as you drop your belly towards the mat. Lift your chin and chest and gaze up towards the ceiling. This is cow pose. As you exhale, draw your belly button up to your spine and round your back towards the ceiling. This pose should look like a cat stretching its back. Release the crown of your head towards the ground, but don't force your chin to your chest. Continue to flow through these 2 shapes, adding in anything else that feels good on your spine as we warm up our bodies. Inhaling for cow, exhaling cat. Come back to stillness with a neutral spine, feeling long from tailbone to the very top of your head. Tuck your toes and lift your knees to hover just a few inches above the mat. Take a deep breath. Keeping this deep bend in your knees, and exhale, press through your hands to bring your chest towards your thighs. Knees stay bent, lift the hips slightly, creating a strong, flat back. When you can't get your back any longer, allow your knees to straighten any amount, arriving in downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Once you arrive in down dog, feel free to pedal out your feet, lift your heels, and soften them down a few times, whatever helps you feel settled in this posture. Let your head hang heavy. Maybe you shake your head no, nod it yes, to help encourage your neck to relax and release. Let your heels settle down towards the mat. They don't have to touch, just be working in that direction. If keeping a bend in your knees allows you to feel stronger in your back, do so. Take one more big breath here. On your next inhale, look forward to your hands, and in 3 or more steps, walk your feet to meet your hands, arriving in a forward fold, Uttanasana. In this fold, let your head, neck, shoulders all hang heavy while lifting through your hips. Again, if a slight bend in your knees allows you to surrender into gravity with more ease, take that. Maybe you sway side to side or grab opposite elbows, whatever feels best for you and your body today. Come back to stillness if you're swaying, and if you haven't already, take that slight bend of your knees before slowly, one vertebrae at a time, roll all the way up to standing. Your head is the last thing to arrive. Once you arrive to a tall standing posture, take a big inhale, sweeping your hands up overhead. Exhale, palms come together and down to heart center before surrendering to either side of your hips. This is mountain pose, Tadasana. Take a quick look at your feet and make sure they're about hip-width distance apart. Weight spread evenly between the two. Stack your knees over ankles, hips over knees, and shoulders over hips. Reach up tall through the crown of your head and soften your shoulders. Can you feel your body pull energy up through your feet, circulating it through your body and shooting it back through your fingers? Take another inhale, sweeping your hands up overhead. And this time, take hold of your left wrist with your right hand. And on your exhale, reach up, then over to the right, staying planted into the outside edge of your left foot. Take a full breath here. Inhale, come back to center. Reverse your grip. Exhale, reaching up, then over to the left side, rooting into the outside edge of your right foot. Full breath. Inhale, return to center. And exhale, this time palms come together to heart center and then to mountain. Another big breath in, sweep your hands up overhead. Exhale, slight bend of your knees, swan dive forward into your forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, bring your hands to your shins or thighs. Press your chest out and away for a halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Torso parallel to the mat. Exhale, fold, planting your hands on the mat, step both feet to the back of your mat, arriving in a plank posture like the top of a push-up. Our next sequence is often called a vinyasa. While it's many people's favorite challenge, it's also sometimes people's least favorite sequence, and it's 100% up to you and how you feel today. You are always free to take it or leave it. From this plank posture, you can drop down into child's pose for a few breaths or press your hips up and back into downward dog. If you would like to take the vinyasa, rock your weight forward and slowly exhale to lower yourself down halfway, keeping your elbows in close to your torso. Inhale, flip your toes and press your chest forward and up, lifting your gaze for Cobra, Bhujangasana. On your next exhale, flip your toes again and press your hips up and back to downward dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, where we'll begin again. Let's take that sequence one more time at our own pace. Maybe you'll move quickly and actually go through it twice, or maybe you'll move at a slower pace with me. Both are great options as long as you're moving in tune with your breath. If at any point you get lost or confused, look up at the screen and you can follow along with me. We'll all come back together in downward dog. We'll all come back together in downward dog. Continue to push the floor away from you with both of your hands in downward dog and get long in your spine. Carefully and slowly place your right foot in between your hands. Remember cat pose from the beginning? You might find that making a cat-like shape with your spine, especially between your shoulder blades, gives you just a little bit more space to place your foot. Step your left foot in just a little and spin the heel down so that your foot is pointing at a 45-degree angle to the outside of your mat. We're setting up for Warrior Virabhadrasana 1. Place your hands on your hips to make sure they haven't shifted from one side or the other. Instead, they should be square to the front edge of your mat. Lengthen through the spine as you rise to standing, still sinking into the bend of your front knee. Your hands can stay at your hips if that's helpful to you, or you may lift your arms up overhead. Take 3 more big breaths in Warrior 1. Continue to pull your tailbone towards your heels, pulling your low belly in and up and keeping your back thigh engaged. Take another moment to check in with your hips. Are they still square? Inhale as you reach your arms out to the side, straightening your front knee. As you exhale, reach your arms behind your back. Take hold of opposite elbows or wrists behind the small of your back. Inhale, press up through the crown of your head to grow tall in your spine. Exhale, fold at the hips and extend your torso over your front leg. Keep your shoulders drawing back and maintain the length of your spine in pyramid pose. Keep the crown of your head extending forward and your tailbone reaching back behind you. Be sure to fold from the hip, not the waist. A strong back is more important than a deep-looking fold. Ground down through the heel of your back foot. Gaze at your front big toe. And if this feels extremely difficult for you to hold, you can try placing a block just inside of your right foot or one on either side of your front foot. Then bring your hands to the blocks as extra support, helping to keep your spine long. 1 more breath. On your next inhale, lift your torso and bend your right knee, returning to Warrior 1 just for a moment before exhaling to step your left foot forward to mountain pose at the top of your mat. Big breath here. Feel rooted through both of your feet. Another inhale. Sweep your arms up overhead. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Plant your hands around your feet and step back into plank. Again, the choice is yours. If you choose to take a vinyasa, rock your weight forward. Exhale yourself down halfway, either from your toes or from your knees. Inhale to cobra. Exhale, downward dog. Keep your hands rooted, and this time carefully step your left foot forward, maybe using that cat shape in your spine to make space. Step your right foot forward just a little and swivel your heel down to bring your right foot to a 45-degree angle. Virabhadrasana 1 on the other side. Bring your hands back to your hips to make sure they stay square as you inhale to lift your torso. This side might feel different from the first, and that's okay. You can try changing the placement of your back foot to find what feels best. Hands stay on your hips or lift up towards the sky. Keep pressing into the outside edge of your back foot, sinking into the bend of your front knee. 3 more breaths. Inhale as you reach your arms out to the side, straightening your front knee. Exhale, reach your arms back behind you, taking hold of opposite elbows or wrists. Inhale, press up through the crown of your head and grow tall. Exhale, fold at the hips, pyramid pose. Keep breathing. Option to use blocks on this side, and this side might be different, and that's okay. Inhale, lift your torso, returning to Warrior 1. Exhale, step forward to mountain. Full breath here. Inhale, sweep your hands up overhead, and exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Plant your hands and step your feet back into plank. From here, the choice is yours. We'll meet together in downward dog. From downward dog, we'll repeat this sequence once or twice at our own pace. You can choose to take this at a faster pace, matching one breath to one movement, or perhaps you're enjoying spending a breath or two in each spot. Either way, this time is yours. Use it however feels best to you. When you've completed the sequence, go ahead and find yourself in child's pose. Again, if you get lost or confused, feel free to follow along with my pace on the screen. We'll all begin to find ourselves in child's pose. In child's pose, we have an awesome opportunity to reconnect with our breath, noticing how this pose might feel differently than when we were here at the beginning of our practice. From child's pose, press yourself back and up to downward dog. Take another moment here to pedal out your feet. Again, notice how this shape might feel different from the first time we were here today. Inhale, look forward to your hands and bring your feet to meet your hands. Once in a forward fold, heel toe your feet apart so that your feet are both facing out at a 45-degree angle. Your heels should be just under your hips. Slowly begin to lower your hips all the way down into a yogi squat or malasana. As your hips press down towards the ground, grow tall through the crown of your head. If this posture is uncomfortable on your hips, try placing a block beneath your seat for extra support. 3 big breaths. Your hands can come together at heart center with your elbows pressing gently into the inside of your knees. If that doesn't feel comfortable, that's okay. Your hands can stay on the mat. If you're sitting on a block, remove that now and place it to the side. Let your hips descend completely to the ground to come to a comfortable seated posture. You can sit back on your heels if that's comfortable for you, or sit cross-legged. With a big inhale, sweep your hands up overhead. Exhale, we twist open to the right side, keeping our shoulders low. Let your right hand come behind you, just like a little kickstand to keep your spine long, while your left hand descends to either knee, gently guiding the twist. 2 more breaths. Inhale, sweep your hands up overhead, untwisting to center, and exhale, twist open to the left. This time your left hand is that little kickstand and your right hand guides. 3 big breaths. Inhale, untwist. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale, center. And exhale, lower yourself all the way down to lie flat on your back. Once arriving on your back, tuck your knees in close to your chest, giving yourself a big hug. Rock and roll side to side or up and down along your spine, whichever feels best. Reach your hands between your knees to take hold of the outside edges of your feet. And if your hands and feet aren't going to meet, you can grab your ankle, your shin, or even just onto your pant leg. Once you've made that connection, drop your knees wide to open up to either side of your torso, as though you're trying to tuck your knees into your armpits. Feet are flexed and pressing up to the ceiling. We're in happy baby now. You might enjoy this posture in stillness, or maybe find some movement, swaying side to side, extending one leg and then the other. Whatever you choose, allow your breath to slow down and soften, but keep breathing. When you feel ready, and there's no rush, tuck your knees into your chest one more time, closing off your hips and giving yourself a big hug, before extending your legs out long to the ends of your mat, allowing your hands to rest beside your hips. We arrive in Savasana, our final resting pose. Soften your jaw, forehead, and chest. Are there any areas of your body where you feel tension is still being held? Can you use your breath to soften that area? Allow your thoughts to fade just as quickly as they come, bringing softness and rest to your mind. Feel free to remain here just as long as you need. There is no rush. The time is yours. If you feel ready to move on with your day, wiggle your fingers and toes. Allow your breath to deepen once again. Roll yourself into a little ball and rock over to one side or the other into a fetal position. From here, press yourself up to a seat. One last inhale together, sweeping our hands up overhead, exhaling down to heart center. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. May you seek justice, love mercy, and walk humbly.